Okay, so in this lesson, we're going to take our knowledge of conditional logic a step further by going over nesting. And nesting is when you place one condition inside of another condition, which allows the computer to make sort of a two-tiered decision. And to go over like the simplest form of it, let's try a new file. So we'll open up a new file here, new text document, and we'll call it choices.py. And I'll drag that into my Notepad++, and you can just right click and edit with idle. So let's just start with this in its most basic form. Let's say I had a number. Let's go number equals, let's take input for that. So we'll say int input, and then we'll say please enter a number. And then I'll set up an if condition. And let's say if, and I don't need parentheses there, say if number is greater than 4. And then if I were going to nest, so if I'm running just a regular if statement, I'll have like a code statement there. But what I want to do instead is I want to put another if inside there. If number is, let's make it less than or equal to 10. And then if that occurs, we're going to print it works. Let's say instead of it works, let's say it meets both conditions. And we're really excited about that, so we'll put an exclamation point. And so basically what this works out to, I can run that. Oops, I think I tried to run that in Java. Let's go with Python. And I put that there, which doesn't belong. And I forgot to close a parenthesis up top, so let's try that one more time. And it says please enter a number, and I'm going to enter, let's go with 5. And 5 meets both conditions, so that goes. But if I violate any one of these conditions, it will not print anything. So if I say please enter a number and I print a 3, I get nothing. Also, if I go a 20, I still get nothing as well. And misspelled number here. That's going to bug me for a minute. So it meets both conditions. Well, what if it only meets one condition? Well, that would be here. So anything you want to happen if it meets one of the conditions, you can put here. The conditions. Or let's say this, it meets the first condition. So if you wanted to just meet the first condition, you can do that. And if I did this, let's see if it's greater than 4, so it meets one of the conditions. If I did that, it says it meets the first condition. Then I could also have an else over here that says print it meets none of the conditions. Let's put an exclamation point. We're really excited about all this stuff. So if I go over here and I put a 3, you can see it meets none of the conditions, but still, if I put in 20, it meets the first condition, and if I put in a 5, it meets both conditions. So those are about the simplest terms we can use to explain that one. Let's move on to a more practical application. Let's say I wanted to have this to give the user a choice between two programs. And I'll show you a little bit about how that works. Let's declare a new variable. I'm going to call it math or words. And I'm going to set it equal to int. It's going to be an int input. And my user prompt is going to be a little weird. So I want you to check this out really quick. So I add this plus sign, and then I can skip down an extra line so that I can sort of work more logically and line my code up a little bit. So this is what I want it to look like, and since I'm putting the new line character here, it's actually going to look like that. So sometimes you want to get a visual of what your program is going to look like, and I want to give the user a choice between doing a math problem and being asked a question. Answer a question. And I do need to add another parenthesis there. So now that I have that user input set up, it's either going to be a 1 or a 2, hopefully. And I would say, let's say if math or words equals 1, math answer equals int input, and we're going to ask a math question. Let's start with something simple. What is 2 times 2? I'll put a question mark there just for fun, and then if math answer. So if the answer I give to that is equal to the correct answer, which is 4, we're going to print correct. And otherwise, we're going to print, let's go with no, wrong, you lose. And so I have an else on the other side of this. And we'll say word answer. And we're going to ask the user a question. So this time it's not an int, it's just input. And I'll ask who said the phrase. And I'm going to use actual quotes here, so I'm going to backslash out of some quotes. And I'll say whatever you are, be a good one. Which is an awesome quote by Abraham Lincoln, I believe. And I'm going to pull this out a little bit so we can see a little better. And I'm going to add an, that's not what I wanted. I wanted a quote rather than a new line character. And then I'm going to add a question mark as well. And then if word answer equals Abraham Lincoln. Oops, gotta put a colon there. Then we're going to print correct. Otherwise, I'm going to print again no, wrong, you lose. And I gotta remember my quotes around the string. And let's try this one out. We may get some errors. If math answer equals 4. And the reason that's giving us an error there is because I forgot the parentheses there, and it carried over. So let's try again, and we're up and running. So let's start with math. Let's do a math problem. If I put in 4, I get correct. Let's try math again, but let's get it wrong. It says no, wrong, you lose. So let's answer a question this time, and I'm going to say Abraham Lincoln. And something happened. And I figured it out. I spelled Lincoln wrong. My apologies, Mr. Lincoln. So let's try that again. We'll answer the question. Abraham Lincoln. And that is correct. But I can also, as with most things, screw it up. And it says no, wrong, you lose. So we are all good. So that is your basic crash course in nested if conditions. Let me know if you have questions.